everyone, and thank you for joining another episode of the Educational Leadership Podcast. We have another very special guest, but before we introduce our guest, we do want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Ideal Impact. Ideal Impact's giving away hundreds of millions of dollars to public education in the form of a free gift. So if your district needs unrestricted funds, reach out to Ideal Impact. Okay, today we have Superintendent Dr. McGee from Watson Chapel School District. Dr. McGee, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to come on.
Absolutely. And just so our listeners get to know you a little bit, could you share a little bit about your background and about your school district, location, size, that sort of thing?
Sure. Again, Dr. Keith McGee, Superintendent here for Watson Chapel School District. 26 years, 27 years now in public education, a product of public ed. Out of 27 years, 11 of those years been administration. Well, let me take that back. I'm so sorry. 27 years out of 27 years, 21 of those years being in administration, with 11 of those years being as a building administration, and the rest being in what I call executive leadership, which is superintendent, assistant superintendent, that nature. My experience has always been in urban setting, at best 10,000 students plus. Currently serving again in Swanson Chapel is a rural district, about 1,600 kids, but with a lot of urban problems. Just 30 miles south of Little Rock, Arkansas, which is in the city of Pine Bluff, on the outskirts. And so we face all of the same issues as an urban school district: decline enrollment, those issues of things of that nature, social and emotional of those kids, the high poverty, so those things of that nature. So resources and things of that nature. So that's a little bit about my background. And here in Watson Chapel is a school district that has consistently been a low performing. We are just doing some amazing things that since I've been here. I've only been here in Watson Chapel for 16 months. So 16 months, so just roughly 1 year, just completed a little bit over 1 year. So in my short tenure here, we have continue to work on shifting our culture to focus on student outcomes, and it's all about student centered. I want to make sure that we are meeting the needs for kids. I want to continue to shift our focus on how we can educate them in a modernized society. And I use the word modernized because when I got here, we were just behind times in education. I think, Gary, you and I will agree that education is evolving, and we got to learn how to educate kids in the 21st century. There's some research that I read maybe several months ago, how schools overseas and they are preparing their scholars for the 22nd century. There's conversation about how do you prepare for the 22nd century. That's a long time, but still, that's what they have in those conversations. So that's a little bit where we are here at Watson Chapel. We're really striving hard to really move the needle to make sure that we're focused on the academics and granted kids all the access that they need to be ready for enrollment or enlistment or even just employment. We have here in Watson Chapel, our junior ROTC is one of our strongest programs. Over half of my kids and my scholars that are in the 7 through 12 are in junior ROTC. So we launched the first junior ROTC concurrent credit this past year, got it approved and added that initiative to add to our letter grade. So that's very exciting. We was the first in the state to do that. So we're excited about those things like that. And we also just added an associate degree pathway with the University of Arkansas in Pine Bluff. So those are things that we just continue to strive and move forward.
Love it. Yeah, love the modern preparation there. What are some things, some initiatives like related to preparing for the future that are kind of top of the radar?
So one of the things that I failed to mention that we are building a new high school, approximately around 39 to $40 million. That's going to have the state-of-the-art science labs where we can do more STEM and hands-on activities. We really want to continue to push that STEM, and I call it STEAM because the science, technology, engineer, and I want to add the art side as well as the math. So we're really building that piece. And in those labs, we really want to continue to increase our focus on the robotics. And with that, how to modernize. And when I say modernize, and making sure that we're building that our career technical education ready for the modern world. We have a strong auto mechanics program here in at our high school, and we want to continue to build those robotics with Project Lead the Way with the automation and things of that nature that our kids can grow on, can use in real world. One of the things that we want to do is continue to how do we really push the cybersecurity. We're looking at how do we connect with cybersecurity with technology. We want to push some of our kids thinking who have strong interest in that technology or technological field that the coding and things of that nature.
Wow. Yeah. So I always ask that question because that topic can be approached in different ways as far as preparation goes. We've seen some school districts, one way they want to modernize is they want to go to online learning platforms and that, which makes sense. Actually, some are going the other direction and saying, well, actually they learn better out of books, so they're going back to books. And I really like your approach, focus on industry, and because that's the direction everything's going.
Yeah, it is. And but I also with the industry focus on industry, but more of a blended learning approach. You know, how do we continue to use those resources online, but yet still engage with the direct learning? So that's the direction that I really like. I think is more beneficial to our scholars, not just put them on a platform and just really do the platform, but really have someone standing in front of or guiding them into that, and what I call facilitating the learning. And then still working and partner with the industry piece to go with that. So that's what I just think is beneficial to our community.
Absolutely. And what are some of the achievements that have been met over the past, you know, well, you've been there 16 months. So what, what are some of the goals that you guys have?
Well, one of the goals, what we want to do is continue to make sure that we can graduate kids ready for those industry with more certifications and what we call completers. This past year, my first graduation class, we had quite a few kids that came out, and we also have a welding program that was graduate with a certificate to be able to be employed with a local welding company. And out of about 40 kids in that program, about six of those kids were hired directly into that welding program. And I just thought that was a huge plus because, you know, welding is big in industries and some, you know, kids coming out of high school can make pretty good money coming into going into the welding program.
That's interesting. So you have the industries that are more disruptive, but also you have the industries that are probably least likely to be disrupted, like the welding and the trades and that sort of thing.
And I want to highlight that program is Central Maloney Welding Company here in the city of Pine Bluff. So, and they've been a huge partner of Watson Chapel before my time, but we're looking to strengthen those things since I've been here. How do we strengthen that partnership? And one of the things that the owner and the manager that he and I talked about is how do we strengthen that piece and making sure that those kids are ready to step right into the company, and he's even going to push them not only when he hired them, but he's going to let them work and then send them on back to college where they can still work and go to college at the same time, or some type of trade school if they want to do post high school.
Awesome. Very cool. But anything else you're passionate around in public education that you think the listeners may want to focus on?
I think that it's a key that listeners really, for public ed, for all our public ed leaders and employees, that we really take the time to honor public ed and really continue to strive to make a difference. The public ed seems to be in some trying times now, and we can get through it. But we're only our scholars across this world and across this nation and this whole world only depend on us as leaders to make sure that we stay focused with the work that we're doing in public ed, but also be able to get them ready to excel at a higher level to compete with all of the different educational entities within this world. It doesn't matter if they competing with a private sector or or homeschool or wherever, that we want them to be able to be recognized and excel just like they can, and we can do it. So I hope this conversation means to encourage all of our public educational sectors that we can continue to do this work to make a difference to all of our scholars.
Yeah, that makes sense. And, it's interesting after talking to hundreds of school districts around, Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and it seems like the ones that are fighting the change are are struggling more than those that are like embracing, okay, we know this is coming, so how can we adapt to that environment to where we can perform, regardless of whatever it is, whatever, because each state's a little bit different. But it seems like the ones that are getting out in front of it and saying, okay, this is how we're going to do things to because of this new environment, seem just based on the conversation, they seem a little less stressed. They're like focused and they're, yep.
And that's an interesting statement. So thank you for sharing that. But a lot of people ask me, "Are you stressed about?" I don't. I'm not stressed. I try not to worry about that because I try to do the right work. In my mind, this is the right work to make sure that we're preparing all of our scholars. And I think that we as leaders got to take care of ourselves to stay focused and not on the right work, but continue to do the right work that is going to adequately prepare all of those students ready to compete. This is a competing society, and we just got to do our job to motivate them, to encourage them, but to educate them to be ready to compete once they cross that stage into the new in this world.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and I would say based on our conversation, you guys are doing at least in the top level when it comes to preparation for robotic, just based on the conversation we've had. Um, it sounds like y'all are more focused in preparing for those types of industries than I've heard other districts.
We are trying to get there. Now, I won't say that we're focused on trying to get there. I feel like it is a priority for the board and myself. This is one of our priorities, really accelerate the student outcomes. And I just think that because we are so far behind times now, we're really shifting that culture to really get ahead to focus on those technological and educating in, I call it, technological society, making sure that our kids are ready to, that modernized technology to use that into the industry, even if, like I said, with using welding as a or auto mechanics as an example, there's a lot of coding in auto mechanics, a lot of coding piece. How do you connect those things? And it's a twofold approach. What I say is the modernized education, but also connecting it to a business industry.
Very good, very good. Well, I know we're running short on time here. Before we close out, any thoughts, any last thoughts for anyone listening in?
No, it's just grateful to be on, Gary. To thank you for reaching out, allowing me to come and share. I hope that this interview was helpful to somebody, and I pray that everyone just continue to have a happy holidays and safe and happy holidays, but also continue to stay focused on the work that we're doing in public ed across the world.
Absolutely. And if there's a superintendent that wants to get in touch with you and learn from you and do some of the similar things for their district, what's the best way to do that?
They can reach me. My email is Keith McGee. That's KMCGEE at WCMail K12.AR.US. Or they can reach me by phone at 870-879-0220. And all of this also can be found on our website, Watson Chapel School District. We are the home of the Wildcats, and they can find it on the website if they go to watsonchapelschooldistrict.com or .org.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. Enjoyed the interview. And for our listeners, before we close out, we do want to give one final shout out to our sponsor, Ideal Impact. Ideal Impact's giving away hundreds of millions of dollars to public education in the form of a free gift. So if your district needs unrestricted funds, reach out to Ideal Impact. And for those that have been tuning in, stay tuned for future episodes of the Educational Leadership Podcast.